Nighttime missile strikes sparking fires and causing debris to fall across several districts of Ukraine's capital, Kyiv. Cars set on fire and windows shattered, with at least 3 people killed. That as the US postponed plans for a meeting only announced last week to be held in Budapest between President Donald Trump and Russia's Vladimir Putin. Trump saying simply because he doesn't want it to be a waste of time, with the decision made after a call on Monday between the US Secretary of State Marco Rubio and the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. A little earlier, we spoke to our correspondent Gulliver Cragg in Kyiv.
The Russian side have said that the preparations for the meeting are still absolutely ongoing. It looks as though Vladimir Putin, when he called up Donald Trump, said, I want the Ukrainians to give up the remaining part of Donetsk region, so I get the whole of Donbass, and I want guarantees that there won't be any NATO troops deployed in Ukraine. Then Volodymyr Zelensky flew to Washington, met with Donald Trump, and he said, no way am I giving up the part of Donbass that the Russians don't yet occupy. And also, I want security guarantees, and therefore we can't take the possibility of troops from NATO countries being deployed in Ukraine off the table. Donald Trump, at the end of that meeting, said, OK, well, let's come out of this saying we're going to freeze the conflict on the current lines and let that be the basis for the meeting in Budapest. Went back to the Russians, who it looks as though they said, no, 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 we want to insist on what we're demanding. And so how you interpret all of this really depends on how you interpret the actions of Donald Trump. And while Ukraine might until recently have thought that they could ultimately count on the Americans as the defenders of democracy in the free world, we're talking about a US president who this week posted an AI-generated video of himself flying in a plane with a king's crown on, dropping excrement on pro-democracy protesters. So can you count on the Americans to stay on the Ukrainian side? I think the answer has to be, at the very least, no, we can't count on it for sure, but it seems very unclear what Donald Trump's next move is going to be. Is he going to cave in to the Russians, or is he going to stand strong and finally come good on his promises to apply more pressure to the Russians, which is what the Ukrainians and all of their European allies have been saying is needed for this peace process to make any actual progress at all?